and welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo.
And I'm Miss Joan Moossy.
And we're here with another show, another action-packed show, and the ripped right from the headlines. Our guest, Nicholas Heyward Sr., whose son, we've had him on before, Nicholas. Welcome back.
Yep.
Thank you.
Second time on the show.
Yes.
And although we're happy to have you back, we're not that happy about why.
Right.
So.
Yes, and Nicholas, of course, we discussed last summer when you were on the show, how your son at the age of 13 was the victim of a brutal killer cop, basically, and you'll tell us a little bit more of that story to get folks up to speed who might not have heard about your personal tragedy. However, we're here in particular because of another tragedy, and that is the shooting of Sean Bell, and
his two friends.
And his two friends who were critically wounded in a hail of bullets, 50 bullets we're talking about. And Nicholas is a representative of an organization called October 22nd. And he'll tell us a little bit more about the October 22nd Coalition. And they're planning, the October 22nd Coalition, a protest on Wednesday, December 20th, 6 p.m. It's a week from tomorrow, Wednesday, December 20th at 6 p.m. At the corner of Jamaica Avenue and Sutphin Boulevard in Queens, right? And Jamaica, Queens. And for folks who might not know where that is, you take the E train to Sutphin Boulevard. And so that'll be next Wednesday, December 20th, a mass protest calling for justice for Sean Bell. And there's a lot more we have to talk about because one of the guests we were going to have on joining Nicholas tonight was Juanita Young, whose son Malcolm Ferguson was killed in 2001, but she couldn't come because her back, and she's in pain because she was arrested and brutally treated in the course of that arrest and just recently released from jail. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and getting folks out to her next court appearance, the Juanita Young's court appearance, which will be January 30th. That's next month. We'll talk about it more later at the Bronx Criminal Courthouse, where folks are asking supporters to pack the court.
Where do we start?
Right, Nicholas. Let's on October 22nd, folks had a protest. We were there. It was at Union Square. It was a good turnout, and we saw each other there. And Lynn Stewart was there as well, speaking. Yes, and a number of folks. And maybe tell us a little bit of why on October 22nd every year there's a rally against police brutality in New York City. Why do we have to have that in this day and age? Because
it's not like police brutality doesn't exist. We all know that it exists, but people are not aware that this is something that's happening continuously over and over again, and it's not letting up. And since 9/11, police brutality has heightened throughout this country, not only in New York City. It is very important that we organize and rally around police brutality, because we have to put a stop to police brutality. Too many innocent people are being killed. The majority of the people that the police are shooting are innocent people. They are not shooting burglars or armed robbers coming out of stores. The majority of people that are dying at the hands of police are innocent human beings.
Let's tell a little bit about your personal tragedy, just so folks know where you're coming from and why you're involved in this struggle. Your son was Nicholas Jr., was just 13 years old in 1994. What happened?
He was playing with some of his friends. They all had plastic toy guns. The toy guns, if you've seen them, they don't look nothing like a real gun. They're all plastic, different color looking, orange, yellow, different colored plastic toy guns.
Which the manufacturers colored them because the police said, we want you to color them.
Right. So they had the plastic looking toy guns. They didn't look real. This officer in particular, Brian George, he was a member of PSA 1, Housing Police. He received a call, a 911 call, men with guns in the building. From what I understand, he responded alone. He said the stereo light, it was dimly lit, he wasn't able to see very well. He heard a clicking sound, and he shot into the darkness of the stereo, and he hit my son in the abdomen. He died 8 hours later. There were 4 other kids in that stairwell who said that when Nicholas seen it was an officer there, he dropped the plastic gun. He said, we're only playing. He shot him anyway.
There was another child who was there.
There were 4. No, it was only Nicholas was the only one that was shot, right. But there were 4 other kids that were there present when he was hit by the
Who
bullet.
witnessed it and saw what happened.
Right, exactly.
Said that he had time to say, "We're just playing. It's
Right,
just kids."
right.
He could see it was
Now
children.
they were, remember, these kids were also witnesses to the killing. So the investigators, when they question them, they're telling the investigators, you know, exactly what happened. Not 48 hours later, but immediately after. They're
Sure.
telling them what happened. The officer shot, didn't identify something. Just, you know, he just shot. And Charles Hines did not present the case to a grand jury. He just basically he just closed the case. He said he justified the killing by saying that it was a realistic looking toy gun and things happened in a split second. Now, mind you, in a deposition, which is what you do when you question the officer, your lawyer would question the officer. And Officer Brian George is saying that he was not on a 911 call. Stereo lighting wasn't dimly lit and things didn't happen in a split second. He said that when he opened the stereo door, Nicholas he didn't see anyone. There was no one there. And that Nicholas jumped down from the stairs in front of him. And that when he seen Nicholas, he already had his gun out and he had a flashlight in the other hand. He said that Nicholas just started jumping up and down the steps. And then he turned and he pointed plastic toy gun at him and clipped the
So
plastic
it's a
toy
totally
gun.
different story than
Yes,
the
and
children
the
who
kids
were there.
told, right, and it's just the whole thing, even on its own right, is so strange because police are. It's my understanding they're supposed to always have backup. They don't go into situations.
Exactly.
There shouldn't have been a situation where, like, strange men, no matter who they are wandering through the darkness of a building at night with guns drawn. It doesn't seem to be a situation that's a responsible policing or responsible action by a responsible person.
Right.
And it's amazing that that kind of negligence, criminal negligence at best, if not outright murder, would go unchallenged
Well, unprosecuted.
or unprosecuted by the establishment. I mean, are they saying that this kind of behavior is okay?
It's acceptable. It's acceptable. They cover up and protect these officers by any means necessary. I don't care how much evidence you have against these officers, even in the Sean Bell case, even in this case with Sean Bell. These kids were just leaving a bachelor party. They were unarmed. They just got into a car and they were getting ready to go.
Trying to leave, right?
He's getting ready to get married. He's leaving. He's going home. These police come out with their guns out, and I mean, I know I would see somebody coming approaching my car with a gun. I'm getting out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I believe that's possibly what had happened.
A couple of things in the Sean Bell case that we could talk about that have struck me just today. I read in the paper that Mayor Bloomberg has said that a protest, a peaceful protest, a march down Fifth Avenue, would somehow be hurting people and was not helpful to the city. Here it is, the mayor, who is, as opposed to Giuliani, at first came out and is sort of, I'll meet with, Giuliani, of course, wouldn't even bother to meet with people. I mean, did the mayor, at the time, in 1994, did Mayor Giuliani call you? Did he visit your family?
No,
Did he give you come to the hospital, anything like that?
No, he didn't come to the house, although he did show up at the funeral. He came to the funeral. But at that time, I was not into politics. I wasn't into rallying and protesting or any of that stuff there.
And you were in shock.
Right.
Yes, but had I known the type of person Giuliani was, I would have never allowed that man to step foot into my funeral with my son.
So now we have a mayor who tries to present a more moderate face to the public and was elected as a much more moderate man and seems in some way to say more moderate things than Giuliani would have said, but yet he's now calling on people not to protest, and which is the opposite of what you're doing. Why is it important to protest even if it's on a holiday, even if it interferes somewhat with Christmas shopping or happens at a time when the city likes to put its best festive foot forward? Should the Reverend Sharpton say no? Okay, we won't protest because it's Christmas, because it's the holidays.
I sure hope that he doesn't, because we should be out there protesting every single day. If we can get people to come out every day and protest and rally, against this injustice that happened to these 3 young men, then we should be out there every single day protesting and rallying. Christmas, it shouldn't be business as usual. This whole family has been destroyed. The 2 survivors I know they must have went through some terrible feelings while, you know, all of this stuff was happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
they said they
felt,
had him handcuffed to the bed in the
that
hospital.
is so sickening. I mean, the whole situation, the way they did them is, I mean, it was just some sick stuff the way it just happened. And don't tell me nothing about this is the procedure. This is their procedures. These boys didn't do anything. They didn't do nothing.
We have a phone number. We're live, even though we don't have the character generator up today. If folks want to call, we're taking calls at 212-757-1538, 212-757-1538. And we'll try and take your call. Call us up. We'll take your call. Again, I'll repeat the number. I know it's difficult, 212-757-1538. And we'd be happy to take your calls and to ask Nicholas Heyward some questions about his activity. And, you know, if folks are in law enforcement and have a different perspective, call, and we'd like to hear your perspective as well and try to answer your questions to the best of our ability. And if you think we're saying something wrong or off base, try and set us straight. Well, you know, we're let them talk. You know, we're out here to let you talk. The call's coming in. We'll give it a try.
Okay.
And hopefully you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you.
We can hear you fine.
Okay, great. I just tuned into your program and I heard that you were speaking about the Sean Bell case as well as another incident that the man in the middle was talking about. I'm sorry for not knowing anyone's name. I was channel surfing and came across the program. My question is this. I understand the importance of protest, and I can appreciate that. And what happened to this young man and the other 2 young survivors was a tragedy. Sometimes I want to feel this question. I know they want to protest to boycott, some of them, boycott all white stores. What purpose does that serve? Second question, I'll end it really quickly, is there was an article, I believe, in the Daily News that had a title, or the context said something about selective outrage. Most communities of colors are trapped between a high crime environment and a non-conciliatory relationship with the police department, whom we rely upon to curb crime or deter crime or intervene when there's a crime that occurs. In my opinion, a black life should be valuable no matter who takes it, policeman or criminal. I would like to see, after this whole protest, and hopefully we'll get a good resolution with the courts regarding this shooting incident, take it to the next level. How do we, the community, deal with crime in our own neighborhoods? When someone in our neighborhood is killed by someone who looks like you, most young black men are killed by young black men. Not police officers, not white people. Not to offend anyone. But how do we deal with the issue of black lives and saving them? To keep them from being shot by the police, and that's a legal issue, but also within our own families, our own neighborhoods, our own communities. How do we curtail the killing of each other in our own neighborhoods without police intervention?
Thank you very much, caller. Very interesting call. Thank you for that.
All right.
Well, there's a lot there, and I know a lot of people have that kind of thing on their mind, so how would you respond?
Well, me, myself, first, we do need to stop killing each other. That's number one. I also speak out against that also, about us, you know, murdering and killing each other. That has to stop, and I think we should start that by having strong black men, individuals, you know, come together, you know, organize. And I think we should be able to police and control our own communities. That's number one, because these police who's coming into our communities are not coming in there to do any service or protect anyone. I don't believe that the police department is here to protect or to serve the communities that they patrol. They are here to brutalize and to beat us, and that's what they have been doing over and over again. Even in the community where I live at, I have never seen an officer come into my community interacting with the young people or with the elderly people. I don't see that today. You know, that's not happening. So I believe that we have to first start by having, you know, strong black people has to unite. They have to come together. You know, men. We need some strong men out here That's where the root of it starts at, with the strong black men. You know.
Now you've come to this, I mean, because the way you describe, you started in 1994 not being particularly political, and you've come a long way, quite a distance from that to being almost like a firebrand radical in what you're saying. And what experiences have brought you this far from your original perspective?
Okay, well, before my son was killed, I mean, I was married, happy, had a pretty good, decent family. He was doing good, you know. So I didn't, when things are going well in a house, in your household, you never expect, even black on black crime, what they call it, for your kid to get killed or by a bullet or shot by a cop. Those are things that you don't expect. Nicholas was an honest student. He was doing very well. I brought him up well. My other son, Quentin, he's right now he's in college and he's working. So when things are going well in the family, you just don't. You're not looking at all of the
it wasn't the stereotype. You
right.
didn't have a stereotype of a tenement and a broken family and gangbang. None of that. All the movies was the movies. You had a normal middle class life in New York City.
Right, exactly. And when things like that is happening, you just not. I hear about the cops shooting people and stuff like that. And usually, if it's not hitting home directly, your thing is, well, what did he do? Or he must have did this, or he must have did something wrong. That's usually the first response. Even when I go and I speak in the schools or on churches or wherever where they would have me, they would the questions they would come out and say, but what was he doing? Why was he doing that? But he was actually he wasn't doing anything wrong. He was playing the game of cops and robbers with his friends. Yes. And I usually would bring the toy gun with me to show them that this toy gun don't look anything like a real gun.
Nobody could mistake
No,
this.
not even close. And he was a kid, and they were playing. They were children playing. The age limit that Nicholas was 13. There was a kid there 11. One was 12. One was 14. They were kids. They were playing.
Our number again is 212-757-1538. This is Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo with Joan Moossy and our guest Nicholas Heyward Sr. from the October 22nd Coalition. And this program has been sparked. The motives behind it is because we were so hurt and troubled by what happened to Sean Bell and his friends that we felt that this issue of police brutality among some police officers should be directly dealt with. So we'll take your call, and I don't know.
There it is.
There it is. Okay, you're on.
Hello.
Hello. It might be a little low, but can you hear us?
Hello.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, who do I talk to?
Paul, Joan, Nicholas Heyward, our guest.
I don't know. Well, anybody.
Anybody.
You seem so far away.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, we can hear you fine.
Okay. Am I on yet?
Yes,
you are.
Oh, okay. What I wanted to say was, I happen to be an African American woman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You're fine.
What I don't understand is, and I happen to be coming from a very religious family, and I don't understand why we have to say the black men, the strong men, have to get together. Don't you realize it goes a little bit deeper than that? Now, I happen to have a son who happens to be a Catholic priest. Coming from a religious family, he knows better. Why don't we see that in many black families? Can you answer that for me? When I see them out killing one another, where are the roots of their religion? There's no fear of God. And that comes from the family.
She's talking about having religion in the family as a solution. Right. That the strength would come from a religious family background. Oops, speak up.
Sorry. Yeah.
Which
religion? Is the problem that that there's not enough religion in the black community, or among even police, or among anybody, that people don't fear God and don't do the right thing?
No, I don't believe religion plays any part in the way these officers come out here brutalizing and killing innocent people. I don't. Let me say, from what has been told to me, the officer that shot my son was supposed to be a religious man and goes to church and and stuff like that there. But yet he was an officer who was patrolling the community. He was always pull his gun out and go up in the building with his gun drawn. This was against police department procedures. He was not supposed to be doing that. although they had changed it since then. That's another thing that the department does. Once the officer is found doing something wrong, they immediately make it like a law. So now they are able to do that now. They can pull their gun out.
I see.
And patrol a building with their gun out. But before they shot my son, that was not allowed.
Right now, it's my understanding in the Sean Bell case that officers are not, that vice cops are supposed to just be there to collect intelligence in a location like that bar, and that they're not supposed to make any arrests at all. They're just supposed to report on what they've heard inside the... Also, they're not supposed, as we said earlier, according to the rules, shoot inside of a moving car, even if they consider it being used as a weapon.
Right.
They're not supposed to shoot more than 3 shots, and then they're supposed to stop and reassess the situation. None of those things happen. Are we going to see now a situation where those rules will be changed?
Well, there's a rule I'd like to discuss also. What about the 48-hour rule? Can you explain what that is to people and why that's bad for the community?
The 48-hour rule is one of the sickest rules that the department has. The only thing the 48-hour rule does is give the officer time to get a story together and cover up or should I say lie as to what actually took place.
So there's a rule saying that the police officer who's involved in a shooting doesn't have to be interviewed for 48 hours.
Right. He doesn't have to say anything according to the 48-hour rule. He doesn't have to, you just shot a person where you may say that it was an accident or a mistake, and you want to try to tell me that you're not going to say anything? If you feel, and if you're supposed to be a man with a heart, matter of fact, let me go back to the guy who shot my son. He's supposed to be a Christian, a law-abiding man, and here it is, you killed a 13-year-old boy. You're going to tell me that I ain't going to say nothing for 48 hours because that's what the law says. I don't have to say anything, so I ain't going to say anything.
212-757.
Don't make no sense to me.
212-757-1538. Let's talk a little bit about Juanita Young. Juanita Young's son, Malcolm Ferguson, was killed in 2001. She couldn't make it tonight, but she would have been on the show because of pain she's feeling after spending some time in jail recently, and it's not the first time having to do with her activism where she's become targeted. Tell us a little bit about what's happening with Juanita.
What's happening with Juanita Young is her son was killed in 2000. Malcolm Ferguson. He was shot point blank behind the head by an officer in the Bronx. She has been lobbying and protesting for her son since the killing. Not only has she been protesting for her son, but she has been protesting continuously for many of the families whose innocent children have been killed. And in doing so, she has been a major target for the police in the Bronx, who has been threatening her, telling her that she does not need to be out in the street protesting and rallying around her son's case or any other case. But on this particular night, the day after Sean Bell was killed, she had called for an ambulance. She called 911 for an ambulance for her daughter, who is, I think she's 14 or 15 years old. Her daughter has been going through mental difficulties since her brother was killed. So at this time, she was going through I think she was having a seizure or a fit or something like that there. I'm not completely sure exactly what it was, but I know she was feeling uncomfortable with herself, and Juanita called 911 for an ambulance.
The medical assistance.
Medical assistance. The police showed up. She immediately told the police, listen, I called for an ambulance. I do not want y'all in my apartment. They left. They returned back. After they left, the ambulance came. Then they came back with backup. They came back with backup. After she done said she don't want them, in the house, they went and got more police and came back. And they pushed their way in the house, pushed Juanita Young, who is an asthmatic and is legally blind, pushed her in a room and continued to beat this 52-year-old woman. Now you tell me what kind of police would want to beat a blind 52-year-old woman who the only thing that she wanted was medical assistance for her daughter.
Well, I just, during your whole talk right now, I was just thinking of Augusto Pinochet, the dictator of Chile who just died, whose specialty was disappearing his political opponents. He killed officially over 3,000, and I think the number is probably like 30,000 in his 15 years of dictatorship. So whenever I hear about political activists being beaten, arrested, unusual things happening where police come back later at a different time, where they're visited at night and get threats, I say, well, are we in a democracy, or is this Pinochet's Chile? What's going on in the United States? And I feel that it's very possible for political activists who are outspoken about some of the things that are going on to get these kind of treatments, and it makes me wonder if that's what's happening in this situation.
Well, I'm sure that's what's happening. The police don't like to be exposed. The corruption that they do, the lying that they do, and that's what we're doing. We as parents, we know the corruption that's going on because we're dealing with them, firsthand. We know how the district attorney's office operates. We know how the police department operates. We deal with these. We have to deal with them because they, you killed our children. So we have to talk with these people, right, during the times of their investigations and stuff like that. Right. We're interacting with them. Sure. So we know, how they cover up and lie about, situations, what happened and stuff like that there. We know these things. Right. We've sent letters out and we write letters to them. And you wouldn't believe some of the responses we get, if we get a response from them. And this is something that, they do not want the public to know about this. And as far as a few bad apples, the whole department is corrupt. I mean, the whole police department, you may not believe it, but the whole police department is corrupt.
Okay, Nicholas Heyward, Sr., thank you very much. We have about a minute left. Tell us about the protests and the actions that are coming up.
Okay, the protest is happening December the 20th. It's going to be at something in Jamaica. This is a rally lobbying around Sean Bell and his two friends that are critically wounded. And also it's about Juanita Young, who was an activist since her son was killed. She was brutalized and beaten, not just recently, right after Sean Bell was killed. And we are tired of going through all this. We're not just going to sit back and just relax. We're not going to just, act like things didn't happen. This is some serious stuff that's going on, and we are tired of, the police brutalizing, coming in our community, brutalizing, and trying to take advantage of us.
Thank you very much. There's an email on there, a webpage, October 22nd?
October 22nd, New York at yahoo.com. It's at 6 o'clock, a week from tomorrow, December 20th. And you take the E train to Suffern Boulevard.
Suffern Boulevard. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
All right, see you next week.
All right, we have a good show lined up for next week. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas. We really appreciate your